Gentrification specifically is talked about as this big monster that's super inevitable, this thing that just like happens in cities and you just kind of have to go with it because you're facing all of these big players and stuff, and we're just people, and just people can make a lot of change. Just people can resist and have been resisting. So I wanted to connect people with that history of resistance to the different maps and blueprints that we have to showing up for each other. My project is Not in My House, a multi-dimensional attack on gentrification in Bed-Stuy. I realized that it was a connection to the neighborhood and being in the neighborhood and walking around and engaging with the buildings, the landmarks, the people that really like nurtured my love of the space, then nurtures my desire to protect it. I wanted to give an opportunity for people to like slow down and look around and get connected while they are here. Specifically for transplants like myself who are coming into the neighborhood, sometimes we want community, but we want it to happen immediately. We want to be plugged in, we want everybody to trust us and for it to be wonderful and lovely. And that's just not how it works. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, and it takes paying attention. It takes listening. So I wanted to create like a physical representation of that. How do you get people to like really pay attention and listen and think about where they are, how they are in the space? And I was like, all right, let's make a little game out of it. That's where the idea for the scavenger hunt came from. Around Bed-Stuy, you're gonna find these stars with QR codes on them, and they're in places where there's like high traffic of people moving around. And when you scan that, you're going to be introduced to the project as well as 3 clues to point you to some of the other key points that are around Bed-Stuy. I've made the clues like easy enough because I want children to be able to partake in it, specifically like children and their families to be able to work together to find this. But also I want somebody who's maybe just coming into Bed-Stuy, has just arrived, to be able to look at it and they might be a little bit confused. Some of the words might not mean a whole lot to them, right? They will need to ask questions. They will need to research and like look it up. So it's just like, you don't just get to come and join in. You're gonna actually do some work. And folks who have been here a little longer, they'll recognize some of the words, they'll recognize some of the places, and might have a little bit of a better idea of which direction to move in. So beyond the scavenger hunt, there are multiple events that are happening in Bed-Stuy to get community connected to each other and the rich history of Bed-Stuy. One of those events was a teach-in. It was really, really incredible to have folks bring all of their brilliance into the space and specifically talk about how gentrification is an extension of colonialism.
Adding to the definition that you mentioned, it's like building a network of support, but in more ways than one.
When I have interactions with people and they cannot bring respect to the land that they walk on a day-to-day, I find that to be violent.
So to have them take their love for Bed-Stuy and allow that love to lead them on this journey through its history, not only learning about how gentrification has like built up and has happened in our neighborhood and like what is happening to our neighborhood, but how we resist it. Honestly, it's just like the heart of the project specifically is to equip people to do this work, and also to know that anybody could do this work. It might look a little bit different, but I'm just like, gather with each other. There's information, there are maps, there's history here that is available to all of us.
All right. So growing up, Bed-Stuy was the best place to go trick-or-treating on Halloween. Yearly highlights is the houses across the street from the school on the corner.
And a lot of people look at Bed-Stuy and they're just like, well, it's lost, it's gone, it's completely different, it's unrecognizable. But we're still here, and there is this rich Black history that's still being preserved and protected. And it's just like Bed-Stuy and the culture, the spirit of this neighborhood still exists because of the people who are still here. And what we still have is because we've continued to fight and we've continued to resist. Really shifting that narrative has been really important, especially for transplants, because I think when you come into a situation and you think that it's lost, then you don't fight for it. You're a little bit more apathetic about the way that you live and move throughout the space. I really wanted to give people an opportunity to ask themselves, like, who is the coroner in this situation? Who is called as dead? And who does that narrative serve? Does it serve the people who have been like fighting to preserve their homes and their histories? Or does it serve the landlords and the developers and the politicians that need them to go quietly? I think the answer is really obvious, but those are things that when we gather together and we talk and we learn and we ask dumb questions and we ask hard questions and we open ourselves up to critique and we look again at the maps of resistance that we have, then we can approach them and we can approach them well. I am a Create Change artist in residence with the Laundromat Project.